I've helped over 30 SaaS founders launch and scale founder-led content on LinkedIn. And currently my team publishes over 250 pieces of LinkedIn content every single week. So we've got a good idea of what's working and what's not. And what I want to do today is share 5 winning LinkedIn content templates with real examples that you could steal. And you could use these templates to get more reach and get more leads for your SaaS company. Now, getting right into it, the first template I've got for you is a hypothetical post. So what you're going to want to do here is take a situation or scenario that your ICP or ideal customer profile is going to find themselves in and share how you would approach it in a hypothetical situation. So looking at the example on screen right now, the hook that Liam uses in this post, which is a hypothetical scenario post, is if I was responsible for cold email at a B2B SaaS company and I wanted to book dozens of extra sales meetings per month, here's what I'd do. So he takes a common desire that his ICP has, so booking more sales meetings, then he shares exactly what he would do in the situation. What this does is, one, you provide very clear value as you go step by step through the process, which I'll show you in a second here. And 2, it positions you as an expert that your ICP can trust. And as a little bonus here, you can do a subtle plug for your product or service. So in this example that we're looking at from Liam, this actually isn't his software company, but Instantly sponsored this post, I believe, and also, or I don't know if they sponsored it, but they ran it as a thought leader ad. So you can see how Instantly is sort of organically mentioned in this post, just sort of as a subtle plug, but it doesn't feel overtly like an ad. So if you're doing a post like this, which is a hypothetical example, start with this sort of hook. If I was responsible for XYZ, here's exactly what I would do. And then just share your exact thought process in sort of step-by-step framework. As you can see, there's step 1, step 2, step 3, and then organically in that post, just wherever it makes sense, mention your product or service. You could either plug it directly. So like in this case, you're plugging Instantly as a particular software, or another example would be if I was talking about how I would grow a B2B content presence, I might mention like, hey, when you get to this point, you might want to consider outsourcing to an agency, but I might not plug my agency compound. I might just say outsource to a agency or an agency. So it really depends, but generally these hypothetical posts work really well and they're quite savable and shareable. A lot of times what happens is these types of posts where you get very detailed of how you'd solve a particular situation end up in your ICP Slack channel. So someone might see this and send it to their CEO or send it to their CRO or someone who would be responsible for setting up a program like this. And that's the ideal outcome for this type of post template. Now, the next winning post that you can steal is an ICP Mistake Post. And you can do this either as highlighting a specific mistake, a single mistake, or you could do a listicle where you highlight, say, 3 to 5 different mistakes that your ICP makes. So here's an example where I talk about how I have lots of conversations with B2B SaaS CEOs, and they all say they want to test LinkedIn content, but there's one wild misconception that they all end up having. And the idea here is that I want to sort of implant this idea in my prospects' minds that, hey, you're not posting too much. You actually need to be posting more. And a really common misconception or mistake that a lot of CEOs that I talk to have is that, hey, what if I post too much? What if my audience gets annoyed with me? What if they get sick of my content? And I really need to sort of address this objection or concern if someone's going to be a good fit client for us. So I position this in a way of adding value, but I'm also simultaneously overcoming an objection. So if someone reads this post before getting on a call with me, I've already dealt with the, oh, what if we're going to post too much? They already know my philosophy on posting cadence. So start with 3 times per week, ramp up to 5. By the way, if you're thinking about how often to post on LinkedIn, this is what I would recommend. So when you're constructing this ICP Mistake Post in the hook, there's a lot of different ways you could do this, but one very effective hook to use in this situation is sort of mention how you speak to a lot of different people in your ICP. So in this example, it says they want to test LinkedIn content, and 90% of them have a wild misconception of what it means to properly test. That also implies that I talk to a lot of them. Again, just like 90% of these people have this misconception or make this mistake. So it kind of makes the reader feel okay that, hey, I'm not the only one doing this, but I should probably keep reading if I want to solve this problem and actually grow on LinkedIn. It also helps when you frame the hook for this type of post and really most types of posts as a story. Again, every early stage CEO I talk to, I'm kind of telling the story of how I've spoken to a lot of them. And then I sort of use this language of here's how it usually goes down and how you can win in 2024. So like the here's how it usually goes down implies that, hey, there's going to be a story that I'm going to share or an example that I'm going to share. So that can hook people into the post. We're kind of getting into the weeds here on hook strategy, which I have other videos on my channel going over that in more depth, but it's a good hook style to use for this type of post template. But really for you, just think of one mistake that your ideal customer makes all the time. So if you're selling an email marketing software, what's one mistake that brand owners make with their email marketing? If you're selling a software in the go-to-market tech space and you're selling into salespeople, what's one mistake that salespeople make with their cold outbound or in their cold calls or in their discovery calls? If you're selling a fintech product for startups, what's one mistake that founders make all the time with their finances? There's a million different angles here, but think about whatever the main mistake, and again, you can map this to an objection. So if there's a misconception or a mistake that your clients or customers make that is keeping them from buying from you, you want to use this piece of content to address that in an organic, social native way that doesn't feel super salesy. So someone reads this post example up here, they don't get the sense that I'm trying to sell them on my agency, because I'm really not. If someone comes in as a lead off this post, amazing, but I'm not making a super hard pitch. So you can use this content to plant seeds and sort of use it as propaganda for your target audience. So by the time they get on a demo or they go to the pricing page and it's self-serve, whatever the situation is, they're already sold. That objection has been overcome, but you don't want to do it in a super explicitly salesy way. You'll notice here again that I don't plug the agency directly, but if someone's read this post and becomes a lead for the agency at some point, they're going to go into the call already having overcome this objection. Same thing can apply to your SaaS company. Now, the third template that we've got is going to be an outstanding hire highlight. This is super straightforward, but LinkedIn started as a hiring platform, and it still seems to reward hiring posts or posts that mention your team members quite a bit. And it's in alignment with the user behavior on this platform. So a really simple style of post that you could do is just think of a hire or a new hire. It could be someone on your team that you've hired a while ago that's just absolutely killing it, and write a post highlighting the traits that make them stand out, the achievements they've accomplished, and just generally highlighting what you love about them as a leader. So here's an example we can look at from Ben Scharf, co-founder and CEO at Platter. Not every new hire highlight post has to look like this, but this is a simple format that you can follow. So we see in the hook here, we just made our biggest hire yet at Platter. I like how this creates curiosity. So, oh, biggest hire yet. Whoa, this is important. I want to keep reading. And again, hiring posts tend to hit well on LinkedIn. It's what the platform was originally made for. The user behavior on the platform aligns with that, and they're sort of looking for posts like this. But again, this creates curiosity, kind of introduces the problem that they were facing before they made this hire. They introduce the new hire, Blake, and then conclude with a few takeaways. So hook, introduce the pain point that you were facing, share how the hire solved it, share a few key takeaways. And then I love how there's also an image included in here. So images and media. So media like images and video are performing really well on LinkedIn right now. We see these performing better than text posts in most cases. Text only isn't terrible. You can still use it by all means. You saw some examples before of text only posts in this video, but when relevant, if you have an in real life photo like this one of Ben and Blake, use it in your content. It'll make it perform better in a lot of cases. So for this new hire post or this outstanding hire highlight in particular, if you have a picture with this new hire, use it in this post. And just to round out this style of post before moving on to template number 3, new hire posts are great for a few reasons. One, they just tend to perform well. And I'm seeing this across other clients as well. It's almost like a cheat code, and don't over index on these because you still want to post stuff that's related to your product and adding value and all that stuff. But they do tend to perform well every time we do these, at least as of late. And this is good for talent attraction and kind of sharing how you think about culture and your hiring philosophy. So one of the biggest things that you're going to have to deal with as a founder is attracting high quality talent. Of course, lead generation is important. LinkedIn content will do that, and that's why we're here. But you also want to put yourself in a position to attract high quality talent, and sharing examples of people who fit your culture and are examples of the type of people you want to be working with is a great way to attract more of those people, and people that come through recruiters or into just your LinkedIn job application or get intro to you directly. They're going to look at your LinkedIn profile, and if they can see how you think about company building, how you think about hiring, it's going to help you attract better and better quality people and more skilled people to your company. So that's another reason why I'd recommend including these outstanding hire and hiring highlight posts at least semi-regularly in your content mix. Now, before we get into post template number 4, if you're enjoying this video, go ahead and drop a like down below and subscribe if you want to learn how to use LinkedIn content and content in general to generate leads for your B2B SaaS company. Now, moving on to template number 4, we've got dog fooding, and this is pretty much the idea of showing how you use your own product or service. So for example, if I'm talking about how we use founder-led content to keep our sales calendar full and keep ourselves with a full wait list and at capacity, and we've been at capacity since we started, that's an example of dog fooding. So I'm showing exactly how we're using our own service, so founder-led content, to achieve the ideal outcome that our ICP is trying to achieve as well. So you're trying to book a bunch of demos and sales meetings and keep keep your pipeline full? Well, we've done that with founder-led content. So if I show you the inside of how we're doing that and what that looks like, which if you look on my channel, you'll find plenty of videos on that. That would be an example of dog fooding. Now, looking at a few specific examples here, this one comes from Tyler Denk. He's co-founder and CEO at Beehive, actually the ESP that we use to write the newsletter for Compound. They're amazing and their content is fantastic. But this is an example of Tyler sharing how he started his own newsletter and the results that he's been able to achieve by building his newsletter on Beehive. So the post reads, I started this newsletter in January to build in public and become a true consumer of our product Beehive. So there's the dog fooding example. Today, it's 25,000 subscribers strong, generating real revenue, and a super fun passion project of mine. So this does a few things. One, it just shows that the founder is using their own product. And I like how this post cites very specific success metrics. So both in terms of subscriber growth, which is something that their ICP cares about, and generating real revenue, which is another thing that their ICP really cares about. Because if you gain subscribers, but you're not actually making money off your newsletter, a lot of people are trying to make this into a business, myself included. And hearing that, hey, this is actually working to generate revenue piques my interest when it comes to the product. I also love how Tyler included a graph. Charts and graphs tend to work really well in posts like this. And just generally speaking, whenever you can show very specific data points and visualize them in a sort of chart or graph, particularly a screenshot from your product, this works really well when it comes to these dog fooding type of posts. And as you can see, it doesn't need to be incredibly long. You can just be a simple note like, hey, I did this thing. Here's the result we achieved using our product. If you want to do the same thing, just shoot me a DM. Stuff like that tends to work really well. Another example of dog fooding that we can look at is this post from Austin Hughes. He's the founder and CEO of Unify. And in this post, he's sharing how they actually used Unify to cross two very large monetary milestones, which is a great example of the product in action. So the post reads, I have a massive announcement. Again, kind of creates curiosity. And also LinkedIn just loves announcements. So if you can frame something as an announcement or a milestone, it'll likely get a bit more reach. And then he goes into, as of last month, Unify has officially crossed two giant milestones. One is $1 million in pipeline created all time using our product, automated outbound, and $1 million of pipeline created in a single month using our own product. So just right off the bat, sharing, hey, we generated over $1 million in pipeline using our product. So dog fooding is a great way to show social proof without having to rely on other customers for case studies. So if you're in a situation where you could use your own product and show that you're getting tangible results like Tyler did, like Austin did, it's a great piece of social proof that can then turn into LinkedIn content like these two posts. And again, this post isn't incredibly complex. You just have to have a pretty dialed in hook, frame it as a milestone or an accomplishment, and then just share specific metrics that your ICP would actually care about. So in Austin's case, it's the pipeline generated. In Tyler's case, it's subscriber growth and revenue. But if you can show that you're using your own product to get the ideal outcome that your ICP cares about and solve the pain point that they're dealing with, that's massive social proof. Now, the fifth post template I've got for you is an ICP Framework Post. So this is taking a process that you use either currently with your own company or in your time as your own ICP. So a lot of times, if you're starting a SaaS company, you likely were your own ICP at some point, or you have some sort of industry experience that led you to start this company. So you likely have a lot of strategies and frameworks and blueprints and checklists and all this stuff stored in your head that you've used in your previous experience that you could package into content that will be hyper relevant to your ICP. So the example I'm looking at here comes from Dave Gerhardt, founder of Exit 5. They're crushing it on LinkedIn, by the way. So in this case, Dave is sharing his favorite B2B marketing strategy, and then he goes into the ingredients and the steps to actually set it up. So what you want to do is walk people through the step-by-step process to execute that framework or blueprint like Dave does in this post. So I'll scroll down so you could see it on the rest of it on screen, and I'll pause there for a second, but hopefully that makes sense. And then the other example I want to show here is one that I actually wrote of pretty much running through our entire process for running founder-led content for CEOs. So number one, this shows people that, hey, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. Number two, someone could just save this and actually use it themselves. It's very valuable. So I'm taking this framework that I've developed from my own experience, my own expertise, packaging it as a framework, checklist, strategy, like something very tangible for my audience, and then posting it to LinkedIn. And this type of post is especially helpful, again, for driving saves and shares. And a lot of times the best content drives a lot of shares. You want it to be something that your ICP reads this and then sends it to their marketing team or sends it to their go-to-market team or whatever your ICP is. They send it to their team in Slack or they send it to their CEO or whoever's making that buying decision. A lot of times this style of post works great for that. Even this video is an example of sort of this style or this energy of post of, hey, I'm giving you templates that you could could use and examples that you could save and use in your LinkedIn content going away from this video. So you're going to like this, save this video. You might share it with your marketing team. You might try to implement them yourselves. But regardless, I'm taking those experiences and tactics and strategies and packing them up into a nice and neat post or video that is consumable for you. Okay, so these post templates should give you a good starting point when it comes to starting to post on LinkedIn. So just model these. Don't copy them word for word, but use the general frameworks and the ideas as prompts to get yourself thinking about, okay, what can I post that's relevant to my ICP? Can I highlight a new hire? Can I share an ICP framework? Can I share how we address a certain situation and just do a hypothetical post? Could I overcome an objection by doing one of those ICP mistake posts? Literally, you could probably rotate between these 5 posts and have yourself a solid content calendar. It's not a fully exhaustive list. There are tons of other post types that you could use. If you want to see more of those templates, check out the template pack in the description below. But nonetheless, this should give you a really good starting point. And if you want to see our entire process for building out a founder-led content presence on LinkedIn from scratch, I have a full masterclass on the channel. It's over an hour long, walks you through the entire thing. So I'll link that up on the screen right now. I hope this video was helpful. Subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you in that next video.